Hello everyone and welcome to the part 2 of AWS Lambda. So this will be a quick lecture and this will contain only these two topics: security architecture and AWS service integrations. And under security architecture, I will be covering IAM execution roles, resource-based policies, encryption, and code signing. So first, IAM execution roles. So every Lambda function requires an execution role, which is an IAM role that Lambda assumes to access AWS services. The trust policy must specify lambda.amazonaws.com as the trusted principal, and that allows Lambda to assume the role using STS assume role. Some key managed policies are AWS Lambda basic execution role. This provides CloudWatch logs permission only for writing logs. Then AWS Lambda VPC access execution role. This provides ENI management, that is Elastic Network Interfaces Management, permissions for VPC connectivity. Then we have AWS Lambda DynamoDB execution role, and this provides permissions for DynamoDB streams polling. AWS Lambda SQS queue execution role provides permissions for SQS queue polling. Follow the principle of least privilege by creating unique roles per function with specific resource ARNs rather than wildcards. So just specify the whole ARN of which resource should be able to access rather than using the wildcards. Next is the resource-based policies. Resource-based policies attach directly to Lambda functions, and this controls which principals can invoke them. These policies enable cross-account access and AWS service invocations. Maximum size is 20 kilobyte, so use wildcards to consolidate statements when integrated many API gateway methods. Use AWS Lambda add permissions to grant cross-account invocation rights. Next topic is encryption. So Lambda encrypts environment variables at rest using AWS Key Management Service by default with the AWS managed AWS/Lambda key, or optionally with your customer managed key for more control. For sensitive values, you have two options. Enable encryption helpers for client-side encryption in transit, which requires function code to decrypt at runtime. Use AWS Secrets Manager or Parameter Store with AWS Parameters and Secrets Lambda extension for in-memory caching to reduce API calls. Next topic is code signing. So code signing validates that deployment packages come from trusted publishers and have not been altered. So first step is to create a signing profile in AWS Signer. Then create a code signing configuration specifying which are the allowed profiles. Set the validation policy to control how Lambda handles unsigned or invalid code. Warn policy allows deployment but logs metrics for monitoring. Enforce policy blocks unsigned code from being deployed. Next topic, the major one, is AWS service integration. So I'll just pick around 10 most popular AWS service integrations with Lambda. So first one is API Gateway. So API Gateway has two integration. One is REST API versus HTTP API. So HTTP APIs cost approximately 70% less but lack features like caching, request validation, AWS Web Application Firewall, and edge optimized endpoints. So this is just a refresher with how these integrate with Lambda and some additional points as well. REST API support more authorization options and X-ray tracing. Lambda proxy integration passes the entire request to the function, while custom integration allows request and response transformation. So there is a feature where you can do a Lambda proxy integration from the API. So whatever comes to the API gateway, it will be passed as it is. But there is a critical timeout constraint with this proxy integration. So API gateway times out at 29 seconds, even though Lambda can run for maximum 15 minutes. So this is a bit kind of a constraint. REST APIs support more authorization options and X-ray tracing compared to HTTP APIs. Next one is S3. So S3 triggers Lambda asynchronously on object events like object created and object removed. You can configure prefix or suffix filters to limit which objects trigger invocation. So prefix and suffix is basically your folders. So what comes before and what comes after the folder names. To prevent recursive invocation, output to a different bucket or prefix than the source. Then next one is DynamoDB streams. DynamoDB streams uses event source mapping with Lambda polling shards 4 times per second. So this will run every 4 times per second. So this is like a polling based method. So you can have DynamoDB with Lambda. So this will poll continuously. So in this case, it is continuously polling at 4 times every second. And you have batch size supports up to 10,000 records with parallelization factor from 1 to 10 for concurrent processing per shard while maintaining partition key order. There is a limit of 2 Lambda functions per DynamoDB stream. Next one is the Kinesis. So event source mapping supports batch size up to 10,000 records, batching window up to 300 seconds, and parallelization factor from 1 to 10 for concurrent processing per shard. You can monitor the iterator age metric because high values indicate that Lambda is falling behind in processing the stream. So this is again, Lambda is the backend. So same like DynamoDB. So Lambda will be processing at the backend. So that's why we have to be like bit cautious about whether it's falling behind or not, or whether it is able to take up the load. So Kinesis supports 3 starting positions. First one is stream horizon to read from the beginning. Then latest to read new records only, or at timestamp to read from a specific time. And you have an enhanced fan out. So enhanced fan out provides dedicated 2 MB per second throughput per consumer with approximately 70 millisecond latency versus approximately 200 millisecond for standard polling. Next one is SQS, Simple Queue Service. So event source mapping for SQS supports batching up to 10,000 messages for standard queues, but only 10 messages for first in first out queues. SQS standard queues can scale up to 1000 concurrent batches and add 60 instances per minute to handle increased load. FIFO queues scale based on the number of active message group IDs, and they maintain strict ordering of messages. The visibility timeout should be at least 6 times your Lambda function timeout to prevent duplicate processing during retries. SQS supports partial batch failure reporting via the report batch item failures feature, which lets Lambda report only the failed messages instead of the entire batch. Next one is the step functions. Step function is composed of Lambda. So just to like refresh your memory. So standard workflows can run for up to 1 year duration and provide exactly once execution and cost $0.025 per 1000 state transitions. And you have express workflows which can run for up to 5 minutes, provide at least once execution, and support 100,000 transitions per second. The maximum payload between states is 256 kilobyte, so you should use S3 for larger data transfers. Step functions integrates synchronously using request response pattern. So this is slightly different. This is synchronous pattern. So we have seen the polling, and there is a synchronous and there is a asynchronous. That are total 3, right? So this integrates using request response pattern or with callback patterns using task tokens for human approval workflows and long running processes. Then we have event bridge. Event bridge triggers Lambda for event bus rules, including scheduled expressions. The minimum schedule granularity is 1 minute. Event bridge scheduler offers more features than scheduled rules. Then we have application load balancer. Application load balancer registers Lambda as target group members and invokes them synchronously. So this is also possible. So you have ALB in front and The backend is composed of Lambda functions. And this is useful for migrating from EC2 or when you need ALB features like host-based or path-based routing. Next, we have Cognito. So Cognito can trigger Lambda for pre and post sign-up events. Cognito can trigger Lambda for pre and post authentication events. Pre-token generation triggers will let you customize JWT like which is JSON Web Tokens. JSON Web Token claims before tokens are issued. User migration triggers allow seamless migration from legacy systems to Cognito. Custom auth challenges will let you implement your own authentication logic using Lambda. Then we have RDS proxy. So RDS proxy is not a Lambda trigger but a critical integration for relational database access. RDS proxy maintains connection pools and that allows thousands of concurrent Lambda invocations to share database connections rather than overwhelming the database with connections. And that's all. Thanks for watching.